Hello, everyone. Welcome to Catalyst Energies. Catalyst Energies. It's moving so fast, I can't even get it out of my mouth fast enough. Welcome. Welcome to this Beltane report. I know Beltane is the first, but really it's when the sun gets to 15 degrees of Taurus, which is the halfway point between the spring equinox and the summer solstice. So it's actually happening on the 4th, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which would be 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there's a lot of significant transits happening around this point as well. And I feel like that we've been kind of in this weird portal or this wormhole that did actually start on the 1st. And so people typically celebrate May Day and Beltane on the 1st. And I think that was I feel like it's just been kind of spread out, like this focus on this regeneration and the ritualization of the natural process, the beginning of summer, the worshiping of the sun and fire. This is really what Beltane is about, and it's about worshiping the creative potential of life. 15 degrees of Taurus, is that point when the sprout pierces through the shell of the seed, right, and starts its journey through the soil up to the surface, and it's moving towards the sun. And so with Beltane, we're putting our focus ceremonially and ritualistically on this process, and giving it our love and our attention and gratitude, and recognizing how important all of these processes are, and ritualizing the divine masculine and feminine coming together as the catalyst, actually, as the process of bringing life together. And so that's the maypole, the fire. Bonfires are very big with Beltane. I don't know like a ton of deep stuff. I know some very basic about the Celtic and indigenous kind of religious and spiritual practices. So but if we're going to use tropical Western astrology, Beltane will be on the 4th. And there's actually some other transits that are right around it that are so important that I feel like this moment would be a really good opportunity to focus some like collective intention. And so part of this too is to invite you to participate in something like that. That's going to be, I'm going to make something really simple available to focus on if we want to get some sort of collective ritual, by what's the word I'm looking for? I don't know, some sort of astral ritual, group meditation, whatever you want to call it, around this time where the sun reaches this point in Taurus, and be able to focus our intention on the gratitude that we have for this process unfolding and the first day of summer, and kind of worshiping the sun and worshiping the creative process and the fire and then the passion that comes underneath that, because that is the beginning, right? Is cardinal fire. It's Aries is the beginning of the zodiac. And so we are giving our energy to support this, the seed that has now sprouted and is reaching towards the sun. That's kind of what we're doing too, especially right now. That's exactly what's happening right now in front of our faces, and on a global human evolutionary situation. So I want to give the astrology for tomorrow, which is the 4th, and talk about where our moon is now and how the moon's going to affect that tomorrow, and invite people to participate in collectively focusing on this creative process that we're all part of at this moment. And that way we can envision the best case scenario for all of us, because we can see the value in this process unfolding. And part of that is having to be able to master in some ways this Gemini energy that we're going to be really coming into. And it's happening right now. So we'll talk about that actually. Let's get into the astrology. So here's the moon at late Virgo. Virgo is just very meticulous and detail oriented, and there's a lot of discipline with Virgo. And so late Virgo, today, the moon was in opposition to Neptune, and then the moon was also but trining this late Capricorn energy. So this stuff that's been restructuring over here in Capricorn forever now, you know, these big huge structures going through an overhaul, with these bigger planets that are all gonna be still in this area for months to come. So right now, very supportive of this restructuring within our own emotional selves, right? The moon is our emotional landscape. So that is, if we can tap into that, that's a really nice support system right there. The other thing is that the moon is was also square Venus in Gemini. And so when she gets into late Gemini, there's a lot of ideas here, and it's starting to get a little tumultuous. You know, this degree is literally called a tumultuous labor demonstration. It's like you get to a point where there's so much opposition, you can, you know, as a human person, eventually your emotions are going to come into play. You can't continually just process these ideas and play this game. Ultimately, you start to coalesce emotionally into a position. That's what 0 degrees of Cancer is. You get to a point where you get to the very bottom of the wheel, and you're just like, okay, I need to make a decision and differentiate myself emotionally from everything that does not, you know, whatever your position is, you differentiate yourself as having a different position. And so Venus in late Gemini, it's all the ideas that we've been considering, it's starting to become very personal, because it's starting to become tumultuous. You know, there's imbalances, and there are emotions that are starting to get involved, and it's really hard to keep up the consistent data stream of information without starting to take a position when you start to get to this level. And so it's going to become very personal to us. It has to do with like our resources and our relationships and what feels good. And so squaring the moon in Virgo, that's really just like, I just want to know, I just want to get it figured out. I just need to make sure that I'm emotionally like organized. And also this Venus in Gemini today, squaring Neptune. Neptune in this degree of Pisces is like naive hope in the collective future, you know, the best case scenario, the spiritual essence of everything. And it's naive. It's not really based in anything substantial, except maybe something visceral, you know, something energetic that we can tap into, our intuition. You know, Pisces is intuition. So Neptune is here. It's really powerful. It's just not seen. It's just not seen. It's not meant to be conceived of with the mind. So and that's where Venus is, the mind. Oh, Venus is in the mind. So many ideas, so much information, and a lot of communication with people, and a lot of ideas moving back and forth between actual people. But it's going to start getting really tense, especially the closer she moves to this 0 degrees Cancer and into the north, you know, collective conjunct with the North Node. So this is just today. There's a lot of earth and there's a lot of air in this chart. And the only fire we have really is Chiron in Aries right now. And Black Moon Lilith just moved back into Aries as well. So yeah, so the creative potential that we're working with currently is our wounds and our instinctual self-preservation. So bringing some intentional creative energy and ritualizing that that elemental dynamic or that elemental archetype is really important. I mean, Beltane is exactly what this is for, and we really need it, because otherwise we're just, all we have is, you know, working on where we feel wounded and victimized. And then Lilith is our dark feminine. I mean, it's important, but it can't be the only thing that's driving our creative potential, because that's dangerous, I think. So Beltane is our way of balancing this out, like taking some time to be intentional about this creative fire, because this is where newness comes from. This is where creation comes from, is this this energy that's released from the merging of duality, as opposed, or the separation as well. I mean, but nuclear fusion is how the sun makes energy, is hydrogen atoms coming together. Anyway, so like I said, the moon, she's and she also earlier, that was more of yesterday, was in trines with all this this Taurus energy, which is, oh my God. So this is just today. And so you can really feel like things really heating up with Venus versus Neptune and Pisces. That is completely just like in the zone, in the spiritual ether. And Venus is just like, oh man, the opposition is too big to even, I can't ignore it anymore. And she wants to feel good. And so when she starts to get agitated by this opposition, she doesn't like it. And it's okay. That means we're going to really be feeling it. So tomorrow, technical Beltane, the day 4. So that's day 3. Today's day 3 of our portal. So tomorrow is day 4 of the portal. So there's a couple things to point out about it. Okay, so not only is the moon now in Libra, look at here, that means that she's going to oppose Chiron during the day, and also is going, at one point, going to be trine Saturn in early Aquarius. She comes around. So there's going to be, again, we're going to really want to see fairness. We're going to want to see balance. We're going to want to see symmetry. We are going to want to see perfect balance and feel good, right? That's a Venus ruled sign in with the moon. So it's about our emotional experience. Already going to have this opposition to Chiron tomorrow. It's gonna, yeah, of course, this is always, this is the realm of the mind in Libra. So we're really gonna look towards, again, our minds a lot more, so much air in this chart, and earth, things that don't often really go together. So we're already going to be feeling, I feel like just there's going to be such a need to find some balance with this. And we're going to look to the mind, I think, to, look for the symmetry, really. I think that's more important. Emotionally, look what allows you to feel balance emotionally. And I think that's where you can find your balance when you're thinking about, like, where I feel victimized here in myself, deepening my self-worth. So beyond that, the things that are really important about Beltane. So it happens here. See, here's the sun already past 15 degrees. Sorry, that's Mercury. So right before it, Mercury and the sun are going to conjunct, okay, in Taurus. So you're talking about like illumination, an illumination of information, you know what I mean? Like light shining down on information, light shining on communication, totally opening up communication. And it's in Taurus, 14 degrees Taurus to 15 degrees Taurus is, where did it go? Head covered with a rakish silk hat. It's a type of hat. Muffled against the cold, a person braves a storm. The courage needed to meet the crises precipitated by social ambition. That's interesting. Character under adverse circumstances is revealed. All right. There's going to be a really strong awareness in our minds and in our hearts about this, whatever this is for us, this courage to brave the storm, you know what I mean? And this is the moment where the sprout, pops out of the seed, because it's not all easy from there. This sprout has to get to the sun, because a plant doesn't exist, can't feed itself without getting to the light. It needs to get to the light, and it's a journey. It's like being in the birth canal, probably. You know what I mean? It's like, I have to do this, and this is the moment that happens. At the same time this happens, Mercury's right on top of it, bringing this awareness right to our minds. This is really important, that we are being very intentional and very aware of this moment, because we can harness it for some serious magic, honestly, if we choose to. Right before that, I mean, we had, well, this was a while ago with Uranus, but Uranus has moved into a new degree now, 7 degrees of Taurus, which for the Sabian symbol is 8 degrees of Taurus. And it's a sleigh on land uncovered by snow. So you have a sleigh. You can think of like the old school sleds, it's on land uncovered by snow. And it says the value of anticipating and preparing for expectable conditions. future-oriented imagination while relying on the natural order of unfolding life processes. Now, this is where Uranus is, the third eye, the collective third eye. We are being prepared. We're giving this opportunity to prepare for what's coming. Future-oriented imagination. Wow, we've allowed ourselves, if we were the Good Samaritan, the woman of Samaria, she had the capacity to receive the revelation of the future state of human evolution because she had the capacity to be to receive the revelation of God from Jesus. He revealed himself directly to her, which he hadn't done with anybody else apparently. So it's the archetype of that allows, because we've been able to do that, if we've been able to do that, then we can use this future oriented imagination. It's just like, it's so exciting if we tap into it, if we are, and we have to have really clear intention, and we have to have a lot of making sure that everything through us is clear so that we can have a clear channel, because we can really have a very serious impact on the world around us through our intention and through our hearts if we are focused about it. And we're very much supported astrologically right at this moment, and it could be used as well by other aspects that don't want the best possible solution for humanity as their focus. And that's why it's even more important that if we can, that we do it. So we have that, and then we have Beltane. So then the sun comes and hits 15 degrees and moves on, and then from there the nodes move in to Gemini and Sagittarius. So now we move into the end of Gemini and the shift of the karmic collective destiny versus our karmic collective, like, what do we need to leave behind right now, is going to shift into more air, but then we have fire, and it's the fire of Sagittarius, which is belief systems, what's true, creating out of what's true. It's the sign of the alchemist, and it's interesting because that's going to be very tempting to like fall back into that energy, because it's so powerful. And belief systems are what honestly create everything around us. It's our intention. And so, but where we're going to be headed is into this realm of learning to be the lovers and just being in the duality and seeing it for what it is. It's going to be really, really intense, I think, especially when we get eclipses this summer. Wow. And this is happening right after Beltane. So not only do we have Mercury on top of the sun at Beltane, we also have now the nodes of our moon moving finally into Gemini and Sagittarius. They'll go back into Cancer and Capricorn for like a hot minute. And we have a lunar eclipse in early June that'll be at 0 degrees Cancer or something, early Cancer. So I mean, it's still got the wobble going, but it's so close together. It's very significant. And I've talked so much about this Gemini energy, and knowing where it is in your chart is going to really help you to navigate your own life and your soul's development in this process, and how you can be of service at this time. But at the very least, you can participate in some really intentional but very simple collective gathering, group meditation, whatever you want to call it. Beltane, I'm just going to call it Beltane meditation and ritual, in order to focus on the highest, the apex, the highest possible good of the situation, and value the creative process that comes from duality as a natural part of this process. And it's only through that then we're able to create something new, and that's exactly what's happening now. And so, but late Gemini, it's hard, and that's where Venus is, and that's where the nodes are going to go into. There's a lot of opposition in late Gemini because it's starting to get emotional. Thankfully, the nodes move backwards, and so really over time it's going to get, the opposition will start to I don't want to say it'll minimize, it'll become simplified, and we won't feel as activated by it emotionally. It'll get easier. So I don't know what that means, but it certainly means that it's whatever's happening now is not forever. But we do have to get comfortable in some ways. And thankfully, Venus is here. And Vesta, asteroid Vesta, she's the goddess of service. Um, she is the goddess of the hearth, the hearth flame, the keeper of the flame. See, we need a lot more fire, and this is why the Beltane is really important, because we have to recognize and revere the creative process in order for it to, to and honor it and know that that's what's happening right now, and to put love and our light into that process and not be resistant or fearful of the process. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't take a position, stand in our own power, our own sovereignty, whatever that is. But there's a difference between doing that and attacking other people and doing things out of fear, taking positions out of fear, as opposed to empowerment and then passion for the best possible scenario and loving what appears to oppose you. And that's, kindness to all, no matter what. That's some of the most important work we can do. So I hope this was helpful. I'm going to have everything, it'll all be together. If you're, like I said, if you're watching this on YouTube first, you can link to the event page from the description box. And, there's nothing you have to do. I'm just giving you tools to like participate at this particular time frame and give your attention to a very specific thing. If you want to have a fire, Beltane fire is really important. I mean, I would love for people to share all of their Beltane stuff. What do they do? What do they practice? How do they conceptualize it? I think it's just really important that we do something intentional and to really value this process and to put our own energy into it and actually be the magicians that we all know that we are, and realize that we have so much, we're so powerful, and we can build the world. We really can, the world that we're all envisioning, but it has to come from a place of love, and full embracing of that which appears to be the opposition to us, because that's how new things are created, is opposition. It's a hard one. It's a really hard one. So take care, everybody. I will see you on the next video, and happy Beltane. Bye.